Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. Hope you're all doing very well today. In this video, I want to share with you and break down the 1981 Topps football set. And I've already done a video on Joe Montana here. This is his rookie. It's probably one of my all-time favorite pre-war or junk wax era football cards. It's kind of difficult for me to say what my all-time favorite card actually is because I have so many favorite cards. But this was always a card that I wanted when I was a kid, and I was never able to afford one. Essentially, um, football cards for me in the 1980s were kind of they're like unicorns around here. I don't know any of my friends who actually collected football cards, and I didn't really see a football game until the 1986 Super Bowl. So for me, I was a late bloomer in football, if you will. So a couple of years ago, I ended up grabbing a bunch of 1981 Topps football, and it has been one of my favorite sets, actually. And so today, I want to tell you a little bit more about this set. I found a really interesting article by PSA that kind of gives a nice breakdown of it. So here we go. This is from PSA Magazine, PSA Set Registry, the 1981 Topps football card set, collecting the Comeback Kid and a strong supporting cast, by Kevin Glue, July 17th, 2015. It's about more than just the Montana. That's what hardcore gridiron collectors will tell you about the 1981 Topps football set. There's no question that the Joe Montana rookie number 216 is the centerpiece of this 528 card issue, but three other Hall of Famers, Kellen Winslow, number 150, Art Monk, number 194, and Dan Hampton, number 316, also debut in this offering. There are also some other rookies that have large collector followings, like Billy Sims, noted Roger Rumsey, co-owner of Four Sharp Corners in Walpole, Massachusetts. Dwight Clark and Mark Gastineau are also pretty big rookies, and you've still got some of the old-time Hall of Famers in there. You've got the glass cards of Bob Greasy, Joe Green, and Alan Page. The strong combination of rookies and legends has helped make the 1981 Topps football set one of the most desirable of its decade. The fronts of the white-bordered player cards feature photos above a wavy pennant that boasts the team and player name. The player's position and a Topps logo are also showcased, and 1980 All-Pro players are designated as such by a black bar near the card bottom. This was also the last year that Topps airbrushed team logos out of the photos. It's a simple design, but it appeals to me, said Brian Long, who has been building his number 4 current finest set on the PSA set registry since 2007. The horizontal backs flaunt the player's name, position, and card number inside a pennant situated at the top, followed by the player's vitals, e.g. height, weight, college, etc., and in most cases year-by-year stats and biographical information if there's room. Some cards also have cartoons that illustrate a fact about the player. The 1981 Topps football set houses several subjects, including league leaders, number 1 to 6, record breakers, number 331 to 336, and playoff cards, number 492 to 494. Team leader cards, which highlight each franchise's 1980 offensive and defensive leaders, are sprinkled throughout the set, and for the first time since 1972, action cards were included. With the words Super Action emblazoned in red against a yellow background at the top, these cards exhibit action photos of some of the best players of the era. The backs feature the card number, player name, position, and team above a large black football design that houses the words Super Action. Some of the players' accomplishments are outlined below the football. The 1981 Topps football cards were distributed in 15 card 30-cent wax packs. Each pack also contained a piece of gum. Cards were also available in 27 card cello packs that sold for 49 cents. 36 card grocery rack packs, 48 card rack packs, and 500 card vending boxes. A case of 24,500 card vending boxes sold for $14,926 in a Collect.com auction in April 2014. Of course, if you're cracking one of these vending boxes or packs today, you're hoping to pull a Montana rookie. So far, out of the 13,051 submissions, just 79 have been deemed PSA Gem Mint 10s. We just got our first PSA 10 in October 2014, and we submit a lot of cards, added Rumsey. That's a legitimately tough card. There are print defects on that card, but for me, its difficulty has more to do with poor centering. Rumsey says they listed their PSA 10 on their website for $12,000, and within an hour it was sold for a slightly discounted price. Of the 4 Hall of Famer rookies in this issue, that Hampton, number 316, with just 11 PSA 10s, is the most elusive and pristine form. Not surprisingly, this card is located at the top row, third from the left, on the edge of a print sheet, a position that generally makes cards vulnerable to condition woes like miscuts. Most of the Hamptons that I've seen have really bad centering problems, said Kevin Robertson, owner of the number 1 1981 Topps football set on the PSA registry. Rumsey has had similar experience. That card is just notoriously off-center with a ton of print defects, he added. In Rumsey's experience, you either get this card with poor centering or with poor defects, sometimes even both. With 75 of the 43 PSA 10s respectively, the Winslow number 150 and Art Monk number 194 rookies are not difficult to uncover in high grade. In PSA 10, however, they can both fetch some pretty lofty prices. A PSA 10 Monk, for example, sold for $481 on eBay in October 2014. As noted earlier, this set also boasts the rookies of several other well-known NFLers, including Vince Evans, number 11, Charles White, number 69, Billy Sims, number 100, Mark Gastineau, number 342, Dwight Clark, number 422, and Eddie Murray, number 440. Just 11 PSA 10 Mark Gastineau rookie cards exist, and because of the former New York Jets' larger-than-life persona, high-end examples of his rookies are widely sought after. A PSA 10 Gastineau commanded $399 on eBay in September 2014. There are also only 10 PSA 10 Clark rookies. There are only 10 PSA 10 Clark rookies, one of which garnered $649.99 on eBay in July 2014. On top of the aforementioned page, number 160, Greasy, number 482, and Green, number 495. Other Hall of Famers in this set include Jack Lambert, number 155, Franco Harris, number 220, Jack Ham, number 235, Dan Fouts, number 265, Steve Largent, number 271, Terry Bradshaw, number 375, Walter Payton, number 400, James Lofton, number 430, Ozzie Newsome, number 435, Harry Carson, number 475, and Tony Dorsett, number 500. Payton has both a Super Action single, number 202, and a regular issue, number 400. The Payton Super Action card is a really tough card, said Rumsey. There's an incredible action shot of that card. That picture is what you think about when you think of Walter Payton. So far, there are just 5 PSA 10s, one of which sold for $600 on eBay in July 2014. But tracking down some of the set's commons in immaculate condition has been the biggest challenge for collectors. One of the most elusive cards is the Wallace Francis number 51. There has yet to be a PSA 10 example, and there's just 3 PSA Mint 9s. This card is located on the top right edge of a print sheet, a position that often makes cards susceptible to condition woes. Similarly, the Don Bass card, number 347, is also evasive in top grade, with just 11 evaluated. It's the least submitted card in this set. There have been 3 PSA 10s and 5 PSA 9s. Like the Francis single, this card is also on the edge of a print sheet, first card on the left, second row. One of the most difficult cards for Roberson to uncover in flawless form has been the Robin Earl number 501. Just 13 have been sent in to PSA, and the 3 PSA 9s represent the highest graded examples. This card is located on the top row of a print sheet, third card from the right. Among the general condition issues that plague these cards are miscuts, particularly diamond cuts, print defects, registration issues, and smudges on the nameplates. These cards are tough to find centered, said Long, and the card stock wasn't what it was today. There are a lot of print defects, and quality control back in the day wasn't what it should have been. Rumsey adds that the narrow borders on these cards make them hard to find centered. These condition issues, combined with its strong selection of rookies and Hall of Famers on top of the Comeback Kids cardboard debut, should make this 1981 issue an even more desirable set and high grade in the future. In my opinion, it's the second best football set from the 1980s, said Roberson. I would even put it ahead of the 1985 set. There might even be some that argue it's the number 1 set of the 1980s. It's a good rival to the 1986 set in terms of star power. With the Montana rookie, I think it's always going to be a sought-after set, added Rumsey, but this set has 4 Hall of Famer rookies. That's pretty respectable, and it also has the rookies of a number of other key players. I think this set is going to be highly collected, even though many underestimate just how hard it is to put together in PSA 10. There's a lot going on in the 1981 Topps football set. There are a lot of great future Hall of Famers. You have guys that played in the late 1960s, like Bob Griese. You have guys who were on the 1970s All-Decade team. You have guys who would be in the 1980s All-Decade team as well. And you have guys who are ending their careers about 1981 or so, like Bob Griese again, and guys who are just starting their careers, like Joe Montana. And some of these guys really wouldn't make a contribution in this time, but later on in their careers, which would get them in the Hall of Fame. The other thing I really enjoy, besides the amazing player selection here, is the photography in this set. I think it is something you don't really see all that often in prior photographs of Topps. So it looks like Topps is actually really trying very hard to come out with a great product. You can't really say that for a lot of sets back in the 1970s with in regards to Topps, because they had a monopoly. Even in 1981, it was really kind of getting broken up in about 1981 too, with the monopoly there. The other thing I really like about the set is the design of the card themselves, and it's crisp, it's clean, it's a really fantastic design. It really doesn't remind me of 1980s. It doesn't. 1981 obviously is a year that is trying to find itself, and it doesn't really kind of speak 1980s. Same with 1980 or 82. Usually for a decade to define itself, you need a few years there, and so 1981 Topps is it's kind of a neutral design. It doesn't speak new wave to me, but it's a great design nonetheless. Is it one of my all-time favorite sets from the 1980s in regards to football, I would say it's top three. So, like the 1985 Topps football set, which was mentioned, I'm actually going to do a video on that. That's actually one of my favorites. And then the 1982 Topps football as well. So, there are my three favorite football sets from the 1980s. They mentioned 1986 Topps football. It's not really one of my favorites. I never really got a chance to purchase any of those. I never really got to purchase really any football cards from the 1980s when I was a modern collector in the 1980s. It was just something that I didn't have the opportunity to do. And again, like I said before, that the first time I actually saw a football game was the 1986 Super Bowl. So for me, uh, going through this set is really fun. First, I love photography, so just looking at these cards and then trying to do research on the players, that's fun for me. I really enjoy that because, again, I don't know everything, and I'm not going to tell you guys I know everything because that would suck. So, like, the really fun thing, I think, being a collector is that you get to explore on your own and just kind of like see things that you might not have seen before. And that's actually why I recommend just going to shows, even surfing eBay, because you never know what you're going to find. And then for me, like, there might be a card or a player that I never knew existed. So I want to do as much research on that. I want to tell you guys about what I have seen, witnessed, or read about. And this set kind of gave me the opportunity to explore something that I had no idea about prior to the pandemic. I'd never had any of these cards. Now I have probably about 20 of them or so. And you guys can actually get Hall of Famers in this set really cheap. I think for the most part, your average Hall of Famer is going to cost you between $1.50 and $2. The Joe Montana is going to cost you quite a bit more actually, but I still think that you guys can afford a decent copy for well, under 200 bucks. As I recall, I think I paid about 130 for this card, and it's a SGC6, and that was fine for me. I don't need a PSA 10 anything unless it's a really really modern, super modern card, and that's kind of rare for me. So again, like this is one of my childhood dream cards because I did see it on occasion. And again, I'll leave the description below, the link below for the video that I did on that particular card. Because as I remember, it was one of the cards that was forged quite a bit back in the 1980s because Joe Montana was that popular. As far as condition goes, I think they're correct. A lot of sets back in the 1970s and 1980s really didn't have quality control as they do today. And quality control today is kind of subjective too, from what I've heard from a lot of modern collectors. But especially in the 1980s and definitely in the 1970s, quality control was just non-existent for a lot of these. And the stock too that they were using. It's one of the problems with monopolies, in fact, because Topps had a monopoly which was broken up in 1981. Their quality and their stock and their photography on a lot of issues of the 1970s, especially, was just garbage. It just was. And if you can find a great photograph or a great design, that can make or break your set and whatever else you're trying to accomplish with your company. And Topps was just not careful. I think maybe like 1980, 81 or so, 1982, they were really trying, I think, very hard. Because again, 1981, they did lose their monopoly to Don Russ and Flair. So that meant that they had to step up their game, and they weren't the only game in town at that point. I don't recall Flair being in it. I think Flair last had a set in like 1963, and then Philadelphia in 1967. Those are great sets too. At some point, I'll probably talk more about it. And this video is actually a volume one of two. So I am going to do another video on this particular set, but I'm going to take it in a different direction because there's something very interesting going on in the NFL in 1981 through 1982, and it is directly affected by the 1981 baseball players' strike. That strike affected the NFL, believe it or not, and I am going to talk more about that. In fact, I was thinking of writing a book about it, and so I still might. So if I do actually, and I will do a video on the strike, I'm going to go into more detail in a book. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this particular set. And if you guys remember or what your recollections were of the 1981 Topps football set, if you were collecting it back in 81, or if you have any favorite players or favorite photography in this set, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. And until the next time, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.